Chris, how was your pee break?
My pee break?
It might flash you.
Random, baby.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. Quite an intro.
Let's address the elephant in the room. That's not the elephant in the room. There's no elephant. Nobody cares.
I, too, am a thought criminal.
Good. Well, I like you already.
Does this look like a girl who's joking around?
No.
Around?
But how much do you actually understand money? Especially the new wave.
Beauty or intelligence? When you unleash both, it is men's kryptonite. Welcome to Talk to Me, Taylor. All right, everybody, show of hands. Who here wants relationship and advice on women from Nick Fuentes? Everybody go. Anyone? Anyone at all? Wait, the satellites in space haven't even picked up on anybody who wants his advice. In fact, I think I just heard the crickets outside of my door, okay, out in the wilderness. Guys, I wasn't even going to do an episode, a live episode at least today. I was actually going to air a really cool interview I have that I've actually been a little bit of a cock tease about. I know a lot of you guys have been excited for with Pavana Garwal, who's the billionaire founder of Angel AI, which is a huge up-and-coming AI company. So I was going to air that tonight. But alas, I saw all of this clownery going on the internet today, and I thought, oh, hell no. I threw on the camo. You know, just call me Vladimir Putin because I'm going to war, baby. Too soon? Too soon? Okay. Okay, so it is war, though. Like, why are we listening to these delinquents? Like, what is happening in today's episode? Because I saw all of these stories one after the next, boom, 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 bang, are all about women and women's place and women's role in society and the dynamic with men and men's role and all this. And I thought, hold my earrings because it's time to throw down. Because it's not just that these people don't know what they're talking about. It's almost like I don't even care if they know what they're talking about, but it's the fact that there's no like reason to them to think that maybe, just maybe, one size doesn't fit all. Like, your way of thinking doesn't have to be for everybody else. And to put this idea, like the morsel of this truth in their brains will literally make them explode. So, yeah. What's up, everybody? Hey, guys. Hold my earrings. Yeah, Abba. Come on. That's when you're about to throw down. It is gonna. I'm actually not wearing any, but you get it, guys. You get it. My metaphorical earrings. So, the first one is I couldn't help but wonder, and I'm sure you guys are on X as well, but Nick Fuentes on Tucker Carlson's show. And first things first is I don't know why Tucker is wasting his time with Nick Fuentes when he should just come back and do another interview with me. Like, that's a show of hands. Who thinks that would be much more fun and entertaining and make more sense? I, for one, do. I know I'm biased, but Tucker, come through. And there's a part of me that's thinking, like, are they just trolling all of us? And as everybody just falling for it, you know, like I'm not this knee-jerky, I'm reading her comments. I'm not this knee-jerky person. I'm seeing so many conservatives wig out that Tucker platformed Nick Fuentes. Oh, this isn't what we want to be associated, blah, blah. Again, what happened? Was Joe Biden's amnesia contagious? I thought your whole thing, what your whole pride and joy was anti-cancel culture, free speech. Be about it, bitch. Again, I don't care that Nick Fuentes' platform. I don't care if this guy has a billboard in Times fucking Square, but I don't have to listen to him. Like, why are we listening to this dweeb? Right? So I don't mind about that. Did I get dome dissertations today? I'm going to need you to clarify. Is dome like a sexual innuendo here, John Legend? Or is this about a topic? Because you know, like I said, oh, do you mean DM? I'm getting DM dissertations on the daily. I actually got a mini one on this today, in fact. But basically, Nick Fuentes goes on Tucker Carlson's podcast. It has, I was minding my business doing errands at Target, you know, like some suburban mom that I'm not. And I'm like driving. I'm like, I'm going to listen to some of this. It has like 11 million views. It was posted in like, I don't know. It was like within the hour, right? And all of a sudden, I'm just like, I'm listening and I'm like, okay, again, you guys know, I'm like, I've been like oddly agreeing with things that Nick Fuentes has been saying lately, like splitting my, splitting and fragmenting my brain in ways I never thought imaginable, like tectonic plates going on. And so, some dissertations today. Yeah, always. Like, wouldn't be a day without it, just gotta have it. Gotta have it. The unwarranted, dissertations in my DMs that nobody asked for, kind of like Nick Fuentes' love advice. So I'm driving and minding my own business, and then I'm listening and I'm like, the fuck? And then I'm listening more and I'm like again, I'm open-minded chick, but I just was like, what? I was like, this is truly almost like insufferable at this point. Like, this is a true circus. So first thing, and it's also, this whole thing is just riddled with like, tell me, for Nick, not Tucker, tell me you've never gotten laid without telling me. Like, just, okay. Like, so apparent in between the lines, in the subcontext, anybody listening. But first he goes on to say, I'm going to lead up to it. Okay. Like a good crescendo, like a climax, like lead up to the clown behavior here. So the first thing, again, because I'll give him a little bit of credit, even something that he said here could be, a little bit inflammatory. And when I first heard it, I was like, dude, what? Again, I have a very level-headed, common sense approach to all of this. And I took a beat and I was like, all right, I could see what he's saying. But he talks about how men are the leaders of the household, right? And are kind of like I don't want to say the end all be all. And he says, I'm not this kind of person who's like, make me a sandwich, woman. Like, it's good. Yay, Nick Fuentes, you did it. Good job. There's your gold star for the day. But, and he goes on to elaborate on that idea. And the undertones of misogyny, though, are so ripe in this. And I'm going to explain a little bit why. Because he first caught my attention by criticizing Andrew Tate, right? For being such a like outward misogynist, like why men are flocking to him for being like, men, the patriarchy, we rule over women and women's place beneath us and all this. So I'm like, okay, Nick Fuentes. But then he goes on with this jibber jabber. But the idea of men leading the household, I actually was like, okay, I get this. Let's be real. First of all, and that's the thing with all of these stories. It's like nobody has any chill. Not only do they think they're the end all be all and one size fits all, like this is a goddamn Brandy Melville, but they can't seem to understand that like any nuance just literally like sends them into a rocket, sends them on a rocket into outer space in their minds, like into the abyss. But the matriarch, let's be real, is the glue of the family. When the matriarch is gone, shit falls apart. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then you are just not cultured and uncivilized. Like, and I said this to the guys on the Whatever podcast, but how many times have you guys seen, even say an elderly, where the wife passes away first, and the family kind of all disperses. They all just do their own thing. It's like sisterhood of the traveling pants in this bitch. But B, like that's how they're communicating now suddenly via carrier pigeon. But B, the men completely fall apart and they cannot be alone. They cannot function. And they find another partner. I've seen it time and time again, right? And I also feel like the matriarch is the low-key leader. I'm not talking about the cheesy, like happy wife, happy life, or like she's the boss, which there's truth in that. But I feel like the mom is like the undercover. It's kind of that thing where I've talked about before. It's like, we'll let men think it's their idea, but it's like, you don't want to fuck with them. Like these kids won't know our trauma of the wooden spoons, but you get the idea. It's like the low key undercover, like it's in the, aura, it's in the energy. Like they're really, I feel like the underbelly and the underpinning of what goes on. Now the man, right? The patriarch of the family, I can respect, even like my dad in our house, right? Even still, my parents are very trad, but it'll be like what dad says, what dad thinks, that idea. And even like when I was a teenager, who was at like, again, equals They'd decide my curfew together, punish me together, right? But again, in the middle of the night, when I had boyfriends rolling into the driveway at like 1 or 2 a.m. with the music blasting, or bullies coming to egg my house, who ran out with a baseball bat? My dad. Like, not to be fucked with. And, I do like the idea of, I mean, call me trad in this way, whatever. Call me a normal woman with a working brain and, parts and hormones. But that wasn't supposed to be a trans reference. That was just, what it was. I can respect and appreciate. I would want that. I want that for my house. It's like, that's the like, he sets the tone. It's his, like, he sets the tone, and from there it kind of like trickles down, right? And I can respect that. So in that regard, I can understand what he's saying, but again, it goes a little hard where he's just like, men run the house, without acknowledging any of the other stuff. Hang on, I want to catch up on some of your comments here before yeah, exactly. No matter what anyone thinks, he has a huge following. It's so true. And that's why when I even saw this again, there was a part of me that thought, are they just collectively trolling us? And they know it. And that's what's crazy. It's sort of, I mean, I like Tucker. You guys saw in my intro, I've met him and in real life, like, I think he's super cool. Do I agree with him all the time? No. But I like Tucker as a person. And I also have heard the things that he said about his wife, how they're very much equals and partners, very much like the Charlie and Erica Kirk. Charlie and Erica Kirk were another level of goals and that mutual respect and foundation, I think. But because Tucker says some shit in here too that I'm going to get to. But there's a part of me that's just, I can't, I don't mean to sound, you guys know I hate when liberals make me sound like them, especially like the non-shaving your armpits liberal women. But this to me, especially with Nick Fuentes, not Tucker so much because he's earned his stripes and he's a vet, but the glorification of mediocrity. I'm like, what about this man is so special? Same thing with Andrew Tate. I'm like, what? Again, I'm like, that's why I'm like, are we just being trolled? Like, what is the deal? Like, what is the tea? What warrants 10 million views in like 45 minutes? Like, I need a reason. So you're exactly right about that. If they wrote me a dissertation, I'd edit it, grade it, and send it back. I'm so going to do that. And I'll even be like, you can put it on your fridge, with the gold star. But say, I like sandwiches too. And look, I will say, I have no problem making my man a sandwich. Okay. Don't call me Candace Owens now. But again, I have no problem with that. I have no problem with, again, that mutual adoration and respect and taking care of each other. Like, it's okay. It's the same thing with all this, how liberal women at the thought of like, oh, making your man a sandwich, or God forbid, or having kids, like, they'll just fucking implode. And it's like, guys, absolutely chill. I don't know what I'm tracking means, Abba. He's free to run his household the way he wants. His followers will have to figure their shit out. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that's where they do have such big followings that I think that people will follow, and men will follow suit, right? That's where you're going to see what else Nick said, that I'm like, what, again, why are we listening to this dweeb who's never gotten laid, who doesn't know what he's talking about? What? She can be the boss as long as I get my sandwich. Oh God, Abba. Forgot what I laughed at. I said something funny. I have to listen again. Tell you he doesn't get laid without telling. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. It is right there. Tate is so lame. I don't know why people think he's cool. I liked his insight at first. The more I heard him, the more I couldn't stand him. 100%. And again, there are certain tidbits of things with him that I agree with, but just on the whole, and you guys know I'm so not this person who's like, smash the patriarchy, men are bad, and blah, blah, blah. But it's so ripe what he says, and stinks of misogyny, and like, assert your place over women, and like, as women are like subservient and all this shit. I just think it's so gnarly. And it's too bad, because I've said this for forever, guys. Even in Hollywood, when I saw all the male bashing, I was like, be careful, because the pendulum is going to swing. Guys are going to get the shit beat out of them only for so long, and they're going to want their vengeance. And who comes along but an Andrew Tate, who is like advocating basically to walk women on leashes like dogs. Like, tell me also you have a little dick without telling me. Thank you and good night. Tracking means I'm picking up what you're putting down. Love it. He's young and so are his followers. Yeah, exactly. So guys, get a load of this. Okay. So he also, this is Nick Fuentes now, goes on to say that you shouldn't, you know how people say like marry your best friend? And Nick Fuentes is like, no, you shouldn't marry your best friend. Pyramid 7, 100%. Pyramid 7 said it may just be a performance. I wondered the same thing. And again, it goes back to how I started all this. I'm like, are we just being fucked with? Like how I've said this from the jump with all of these people, Candace Owens, I don't care. How much, like, do these people even really believe this shit? You know, but like frauds, just frauds. I don't even know. It just feels so fake and like inflammatory on purpose, and I'm not having it. So, yeah. So Nick Fuentes, again, the like Dr. Phil, apparently self-appointed of the world, is like, you know, they said, don't marry your best friend. People say marry your best friend. Your wife's not your best friend. Sir, you're giving little dick energy and never been laid energy. Why? How? What do you even know about this? Like, what are we even talking about? Have your balls even dropped yet? Like, why are you telling me when all we've ever heard from even my parents been married 30 plus years, couples who have been married 50 plus, like you name it. What is the first tried and true thing they say? Marry your best friend. Like, what are you and even like I appreciate because I know and I was waiting for Tucker because I have given Tucker shit before for being not pushing back on his guests like Andrew Tate because it makes you seem like you're agreeing. And I get it, guys. I know that I can be guilty in the moment. It's easier said than done, but it makes you look complicit like you're agreeing. And I know I've heard Tucker many times talk about his wife being his counterpart. And I'm waiting for him to push back, and he didn't. He holds Nick's feet to the fire a little bit and basically says, you know, but why shouldn't it's and for them it's very biblical, right? And Christian and rooted in religion. But Tucker even says, like, why shouldn't we be concerned with why shouldn't they be our best friend? Like, I'm paraphrasing here, but why shouldn't we be concerned with making our wife happy and all this and all that? It's in the Bible, for crying out loud, right? But I just thought that was so idiotic because Nick Fuentes goes on this whole thing like it's not your best friend, your wife is something. It just was jibber jabber that truly made no sense to anybody on the airwaves, I would hope. But the last thing, okay, about this debacle, and this is where Tucker did get in on this, and I just was like, this is where I literally was doing like straight up donuts on my way out of Target, being like, oh hell no, I'm hopping on the live tonight. But Nick Fuentes goes on to say that women in the household, he blames everything, first of all, on feminism and women not having to take accountability for anything and women just overall being trash, right? Why men are kind of like lost in the sauce right now. Okay, we'll unpack this in a second, you know, straight up unpacking it like Dora the Explorer's fucking pink little backpack could never. So he says women don't want to do anything. He's like, they don't want to do anything. And then here's Tucker. Tucker's like, oh, I know. Like, and I was just like, who are these imbeciles? Like, what is this? Is this literally 1950s Stepford Wives? Are you guys okay? And they're like, yeah, dude, yeah, women, they don't want to do anything. That just goes back as far as the eye can see throughout all of time. And I was like, oh, saddle me up, soldier. Hell no, because this is a race that I do have a dog in. Why are we doing the Pleasantville shit? Like, how insulting, how stupid and out of touch, and how just truly unhinged, right? And deranged. I mean, again, think about a Charlie Kirk and an Erica Kirk. And what a force of nature on her own Erica Kirk is. Charlie Kirk is rolling in his grave right now at the thought of like, women don't want to do anything. Like, how stupid is that? And how insulting. And I also feel like, you know, and they keep too speculating. And I've teased Joe Rogan for this, like having this bro thing of sitting around and being like, well, women want this. And I'm like, how about just ask us? How about, I don't know. It's so kind of cheesy, you know, hanging out under the bleachers high school to me. Like, just ask us right here. You got a normal, mostly unhinged one. I will help you guys out. But here's where we have gotten in a pickle to the extremes. And again, where there's no normalcy and nobody can have any nuance whatsoever. Hang on, I'm just checking in on these. Lost in the sauce. Yeah, serious. It is bad. So you have the two extremes, okay? You have the I hate to make it political, but you guys know this. We've seen the stereotypes. We've seen it play out. Like these far leftist women who are so anti-man, are so anti-family, religion, nuclear family, whatever it is. I don't need no man. My job, literally my pussy eats my pussy out. Like, I'm not trying to be graphic, but I'm just saying, like, unhappy, a lot of times overweight, alone, and miserable. And it's just like, for what? Like, what, who's winning here? Like, what point are you actually making? Are you fulfilled and happy in this? And I've seen it. So it's just not okay. It's like, what kind of stance are you taking? I mean, again, if that's how you want to live your life, fine. But if you're trying to make it at some point to be like, oh, men are bad, it's like, sis, they're not missing you. And I don't think you're winning in this. I don't think they're missing out. You're missing out in this. I don't know. I would think. But then we have this fuckery where it's so antiquated that it's like women, as from the beginning of time, eons ago, just don't want to do anything. And it's just absolutely absurd. And it made me think about the time when I had it was such a fun interview, but when I had Pastor Jackson Lawmeyer on recently. And it was in the wake of Charlie Kirk's death, right? And his relationship with Erica really being brought to the light in her role as a wife and a mom. And he says in the interview, there's nothing wrong with being a wife and a mom, because I feel like people on the right are trying to assert the swing of the left and assert, trad life ideals, right? Onto people. And I thought about it after the interview with him, and I'm like, right, but why doesn't anybody talk about, just like how these leftist nutcases can't acknowledge that having a foundation and family and love is good and is a God-given right, and is amazing and happy and fulfilling and pure. Why can't the people on the right acknowledge all of the women who are trapped as housewives or moms or wives, whatever it is, and they are resentful, or they don't go after their passion, or they are unhappy and blow their brains out? Like, what the fuck, guys? Like, what are we doing? So the idea of I've heard so many stories, and I've even seen it in my personal life, of so many housewives who are restless and unhappy because they did the white picket fence, or they, did what they quote thought they had to do. Why do we hear about midlife crises? So even as I said to Jackson Lawmeyer, the pastor at the time, I want women to be empowered to go after it all. And again, there's nothing wrong with being a housewife if that's your jive. It's not for me. There's nothing wrong with being a CEO businesswoman if that's your jive, or doing both, which for me personally is goals. But it's just this bullshit of like this generalizing is only okay when Talk to Me Taylor does it, basically, is what I'm trying to say. No, but like, all women love to do nothing. It's just so lame. And it's also just such, like, all of this, there's nothing more little dick energy than this. You know what I'm saying? It's like a lack of self-respect almost. Like, if you can't, it's like sexy, and it's strength when a man respects and appreciates women and sees them as their equal. And again, in their respective roles and different roles, I love that. I love that. I love me a big, strong, tall glass of water drink. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I love how we're different, but to me, it's just all of this, like, it's like, are you that threatened? Like, even if it's not as blatant as an Andrew Tate, it's still there. And it's just lame. It just shows like insecurity and lack of confidence, I guess. And that in this case, with this clown, like, you ain't getting any, clearly. Yeah, exactly. That's a good way to put it, Abba. Generalization is dumb unless you're kidding around, which is how I'd like to think I do it here. Pyramid 7, I don't know if that's something to see. I don't know what you're referring to, because they're against the nuclear family. They view it as driving force of capitalism. Totally. And it's stupid. Just as stupid as the counterpart or counterpoint, I should say, of women just don't want to do anything and they just want to sit here, barefoot and be proud. It's just like, get a life, like get a clue. More importantly, enter the 21st century. Jesus Christ, no one is coming to save you. All their complaints, but they don't complain about being given the worst political candidates possible. Ain't that the truth? I'm not equal to Taylor. Oh, she is far superior. That is so sweet. That is so sweet. But see what I'm kind of saying? Like, there is nothing hotter and more attractive than a man who's like, yes, like she is the shit. And then I am not. Don't misconstrue that by it is hot to be a doormat and to be pussy whipped. Oh, hell no. That brings me to the beginning of this, where even though it was a disjointed way, or I don't know, kind of simplistic way of putting it, what Nick Fuentes said of like the man running the household, it's that idea. It's that idea too of guys and men like being that force and having that power. I kind of lost my train of thought there, but I think you guys know what I'm going. That's just what all of this does to me. But yeah, so it's just the whole thing. And then Tucker does push back on him and say like, okay, so it's all women's fault then? Like, what about men? Like, are you going to at least look at men for any of this? And Nick Fuentes does this whole ring around the rosy merry-go-round song and dance, this kind of loop-de-loop back-ended way of still blaming women. He's like, well, the laws, abortion and this and that just make it so women don't have to be accountable for anything. Just like an abortion, they had sex with someone they didn't want a pregnancy with, and I'm like, where do you think this is Mother Mary? It was just immaculate conception. Like, it takes two to tango, which yet again reinforces you don't even know what this is. Like, you haven't even entered sex ed. So it's just so dumb and ignorant. It's like it takes two to tango, I see. So it's all the woman's fault. So, just lame all around. And guys, there's nothing stronger, more attractive, and awesome when you can appreciate a woman for all she is. That's all I have to say, especially your significant other. Like, what is better in life than that? And vice versa, right? When women can do the same for you and respect and honor and cherish you, and acknowledge all the good things, again, how you're different. So really quickly as we wrap here, because these are all sort of in the same category, but AOC and Riley Gaines throwing down. So again, I'm going to kind of paraphrase, but to make a long story short, these two are going at it with fighting words on X. And basically Riley Gaines said something about progressives. AOC came at her saying, if you put half of this anger into actually, into swimming, you would have gotten better than 5th place. So Riley Gaines comes back at her and says, you're a misogynistic dunce. And funny how you mentioned that I, as a woman, got 5th place in the nation, yet someone like a Leah Thomas, when they were in their biological, like the men's league, is in like 1,896th place, and you don't say anything, right? So misogynistic. And then I think Riley challenged AOC to a debate, and AOC comes back and says something like, get a real job. And Riley Gaines comes back. I know this is a lot of he said, she said, but first it was Selena Gomez and this other bitch, who was it, with the Sephora subtexting talk, subtweeting via Sephora talk, and now it's these girls on X. But Riley Gaines comes back and says, I do have a real job. I'm a mom, and that's the most important job in the world. And if you had a little girl like I did, you would think differently about all these policies and all this. So again, I just sort of feel like, and to a degree, and I'm not a mom yet, but I can't wait to be. And I get that there's truth in what she's saying. Absolutely. And my mom, who's such a badass, and she does bring the two worlds together. Like, she's a fierce career woman and the most amazing mom on the planet. I know everyone says that about their mom, but my mom truly is. Eat your hearts out. I bet you my mom would say the same thing. Like, my pride and joy at the end of the day is my daughter and my relationship with her. That's the most important thing, So I totally get that. I just feel like this whole thing epitomizes AOC and Riley Gaines, what I was just talking about. Like, why AOC? First of all, the bartender turned congresswoman, progressive, for the little guy. How in her brain she would be like, get a real job is just really something of the times, like a moment in history, really, that just is perplexing to say the least. But that really captures, again, the whole, anti what Riley Gaines represents, and she does. Riley Gaines is, by the way, is killing it. Like, she's always on the news. She's an activist. Like, I don't know what AOC is talking about, but it's that idea of like, no, you have to be anti, kind of what you guys are saying, like capitalism and nuclear family and all this to really be a woman. It's like, get lost. And then Riley Gaines, like a similar in another box, like, I love Riley Gaines. I think she's super intelligent. But again, it's that thing of like, nope, like this is the most important, this is the end all be all and da da da. And, and I think a lot of this too, and I'm not knocking it. It's not how I live. I don't adhere to it, but a lot of it is biblical. And I've been thinking so much lately. And I wish I did bring it up with the pastor, but I'll have him on again. I actually saw Joe Rogan talk about this, but even stories from the Bible, how, first of all, I've thought a lot about like, parting the Red Sea and resurrections and immaculate birth. Like, why haven't we seen any of this shit since? Like, that's what I want to know, right? And the idea of these stories being reinterpreted in a different time and context and language through, the years and years and years, but being so held to them. And again, I look at someone like a Charlie Kirk and I can so admire that. But it's sort of that idea again of being so kind of boxed in and linear, not being able to look at the whole picture and being like, okay, tidbits of this and tidbits of that and tidbits of this. So be it, even the Tucker Carlson or what Nick Fuentes or even the Riley Gaines of like, no, this is like the sole most important thing and the only thing that matters. It just feels very much, the one size fits all in the box to me. And that's just not, I don't know. It's just not reality, So yeah, so it's weird because I saw that story on the heels of the Nick Fuentes thing. And I thought, wow, like that totally captures this dichotomy I'm talking about here. Hang on. Just dropping by. Hey, Glockner, good to see you. I'm glad you're dropping by. AOC couldn't handle Riley. Yeah, no, I know. It's like child's play. Riley is so on her game, no pun intended. Like, she's so articulate and on point. They're never pro-woman when a real woman gets at them. Ain't that funny? Thanks, Glocknor. I appreciate that. So going off of the biblical thing, I saw a tweet, or I'm sorry, I saw a clip of Justin Bieber talking today. And I don't know when the context is. I don't know when this clip was, but he's talking about how even looking at and imagining another woman is adultery and is a sin. And again, it's, I think he actually says like, it's what the Bible says and all this. And again, guys, and I have to say, Erica Kirk, Charlie's passing has really opened my eyes to a lot of this, because I would very much mock and make fun of the Bible thumping and all that. And I really admire how rooted and courageous they are and were in their faith. No doubt. No doubt. In fact, I may not be doing the show on Friday nights anymore because it's right when my Friday night services at my synagogue are. So, but it's for a good cause, everybody. But it's stuff like this where, again, it's what I said to the pastor. It's why, it's this sort of idea of sinning and wrong and bad, like normal human impulses that then make these people as adults fucked up. And Abba, as you have taken a liking to, lost in the sauce, right? For feeling so much guilt and shame and bad. And when I saw Justin Bieber say this, he literally says, just looking and imagining is the exact same as actually carrying out the act. And I'm like, dude, you are asking men to essentially pluck their own eyeballs out. Like, you are essentially asking them to Frankenstein themselves and not have basic impulses. Men, you guys know there's a lot of testosterone up in this live chat. It is your biological impulse to procreate, to see a woman, to notice her, whatever it is sexually, and her vitality, whether it's, boobs or butt or big eyes or big lips or youth, right? Women, we have it, but we're not as insatiable as you guys. And we have a little more chill. But even for us, like, I can recognize a hot guy. I can recognize a hot guy in the gym and I'm like, wait, did I just notice a hot guy? Did I just perform adultery? Like, it's just asking people to not be people. Like, it's just unrealistic and it's just not human. So I just don't think exactly, Abba. It's not realistic thinking, oh my God, could you guys imagine if I have AOC on? I've thought about that before. She does, I feel like, a sophisticated form of word salad spinning that Kamala Harris did. I would love to have her on, though. I think that would actually be so fascinating. So the very last topic here, guys, is not related, but, my whole background, my show used to be called Cancel Me Baby. A lot of the themes of the show were cancel culture, right? And I saw actually Jamie Lee Curtis, I think it was today or was recently, revisit her comments about Charlie Kirk. This is just, again, like, not so much about the men and women in their roles, but the bigger idea of thought and thought control and cancel culture and speaking up about things. But at the time when Charlie was killed, Jamie Lee Curtis, who, by the way, is notorious for not giving a single flying fuck, and I absolutely love it. It is a mantra that I hope to embody one day at her age. Like, she has all these viral clips of just saying the most like funny and egregious unhinged things on the red carpet. And she was actually one of my first red carpet interviews with my selfie stick. And I asked her, by the way, what advice she would give to young women. This is when, like, this was pre OnlyFans, but this was kind of like post Kim Kardashian sex tape and women already starting to try and be sexy and get attention on the internet. And I asked her, like, what she thought about women getting famous for, or trying to get famous for, by posting sexy photos or videos. And she was a savage. It is on my YouTube, but she literally looks at my selfie stick in the camera and she's like, those photos of you at all your little parties with your solo cups, your future employers will look and they will come back to bite you in the ass. I'm like, okay, bitch, like, instilling the fear of God in me, but facts. So that is Jamie Lee Curtis for you. So needless to say, she doesn't give a shit. Well, because she showed a touch of empathy for Charlie Kirk when he died and really noting his deep faith and how admirable and, beautiful that was to watch, she got shit for it. And so here's what she said. I have a little quote here. Like, again, it's that thing of that why I hated cancel culture the most, because it's like, ultimately you get backlash and then you backtrack and then you clarify what you said. And it's like, how about I fucking just said what I said? How about I said what I said? And again, it just is so clear and indicative of the times. It's like, you had empathy of a man who was gruesomely shot dead in front of our eyes, made a comment about his deep faith, and now you have to defend it. Like, look up Unhinged and why am I seeing this in the dictionary? But she says, even though I find what his ideas were abhorrent to me, I still believe he's a father, a husband, a man of faith. Again, like, justifying. I hope whatever connection to God means that he felt. And then the interviewer, but she said, like, she got a lot of shame for her comments at the time. And the interviewer asked, I think it may have been Mark Maron's show, but he said, do you feel like you have to be careful? Now, this is Jamie Lee Curtis. She not only is a Nepo baby, but she is an iconic, legendary actress. She should not give a single shit ever. And I'm glad she said, I don't have to be careful. I can't not be who I am in the moment. So I want to leave everybody with that. I want to leave everybody with this. I'm going to get your comments here. I will try to set it up. Shoot, I don't know what you were talking about, but I like it. TTMT and AOC. Yeah, shit would go down. It would be really fun. Love it. How about I just said what I said? Yeah. How about I just said what I said? So I'm going to leave it with what Jamie Lee Curtis said, which is, I don't have to be careful and I'm going to be who I am in that moment. And so I felt like it tied and wrapped all of this up really nicely because we have, again, all of these clowns out here trying to dictate and tell us what is the right thing to do, what is the way to be, especially when it comes to the interpersonal and your relationships and men and women and your role and all this. And all I can say is just tune it out, get out of the camps and be who you want to be. Even if you're going to check someone, God forbid, out at the gym. It's all good in my hood. It is all good in the hood. Be who you want to be. Good finale. Stay positive. Keep your chins up. I will see you guys tomorrow night for Hump Day, and I have a killer guest on. Actually, it is maybe I'll leave it a surprise, but basically, he runs the biggest podcasting agency in the US. So he's working with all of these big talents. And we talk all about how actually kind of what we talked about tonight, how fame and influencers, how it's all smoke and mirrors and orchestrated and working the algorithm. Like you are a stripper, like all these people shamelessly pimping themselves out and what is even real and all of it. So I'm going to get in all of that with him. So be there tomorrow night for Hump Day. Have a good night. I hereby give you permission, as Abba says, have a good night. I will see you guys tomorrow. Good night.
Chris, how was your pee break?
My pee break.
They might flash you undetected.
Random baby.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. Quite an intro.
Let's address the elephant in the room. That's not the elephant in the room. There's no elephant. Nobody cares.
I too am a thought criminal.
Good. Well, I like you already.
Does this look like a girl who's joking around?
No.
Around?
But how much do you actually understand money? Especially the new wave.
Beauty or intelligence? When you unleash both, it is